have to start a new stream.
Okay. Yeah, let's do that.
Sorry, boys. I don't know
All
what the
good.
fuck happened.
No, as I saw it on my screen went away, and I was freaking out. Then I heard an echo in my ear.
So weird. Yeah, because I'm still connected to the internet. I never lost it.
Maybe the stream just cut out.
Sorry, bear with us.
Oakland in the box is nicer. Bullshit for that.
Yeah. Fuck, that was sweet. That was that game. I love when he pressed the siren.
Can you still hear me through or can you still hear the video?
No. I muted it again.
Okay. But you're still connected and everything.
Yeah, I'm connected in video.
It's so fucking weird. And yeah, and see now it's back to streaming on restream again. What should we do?
Just do a timer and we'll come right back.
I know, but should we we have to make a new stream on YouTube.
Do we?
Yeah, I think so. I don't think it's not gonna stream again on the same one.
Okay. I'll direct everybody over. Can you make that?
Yeah.
New stream link coming.
That fucking sucks. Oh, we're live now. What the hell? It just went live again.
Are we live?
Yeah, I think we're live.
I think we're back, Rosie. What's
Sounds
going
like
on?
we're back.
Apologies for the technical difficulties here over at Greta Bar YYZ. But welcome back to Leafs Morning Take. Nick Alberga Jay Rosehill recapping a 4-3 win for the Maple Leafs here in Game 2 of Round 2. Was just mentioning Dallas Eakins going to drop by the show here, Rosie. There's a chance as well. I know he's in transit out in Europe, but Brandon Montour, former Florida Panther, won the Cup last year, might drop by a bit later on here on the show.
Yeah, if he's off an airplane in time, he'll probably pop on and give us a little insight to the Florida Panthers. But looking forward to Dallas Eakins as well. Probably my favorite coach in professional hockey. A player's coach. I always look back at that era that they hired Randy Carlyle, and in my mind, I think it should have been Dallas Eakins, and I wonder what would have happened with that team had they gotten a hold of Dallas Eakins and he was able to take the helm of the Maple Leafs. I think things could have gone in a different direction, as I remember the vibe around the locker room when Randy Carlyle was in fact hired.
At the Leafs Nation 401, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Leafs Morning Take wherever you find your podcast. Make sure to leave us a 5-star review. Also, don't forget to check out the LeafsNation.com. Got a variety of really, really great articles up right now. One on Max Pacioretty. We're going to talk about him coming up. And, looking at the summer, what could be different for this Maple Leafs team. Some takeaways from the game last night. And Mitch Marner, certainly the big story for the Maple Leafs, scoring the game-winning goal. And we talk about this all the time. Didn't necessarily, Rosie, have his best game, but found a way to make a difference. And that's sort of my lasting memory here of Game 2.
Yeah, you need those guys to be at their best. Willie's at his best. You see Mitch get the game winner. I mean, that's all that matters. It doesn't really matter how you do it. If you get it done and find a way, it's going to look different every night, especially in the playoffs. But you just can't say enough about how the team has responded to the little bits of adversity where they used to just do enough to lose by a little, and now they're doing enough to win, even if it's by a little. But it's in regulation. And, I mean, last night they didn't score the first goal of the game. They had a kind of a blunder in the first, 8 seconds of the second period where the nemesis of this organization and Brad Marchand buries on them. I can't tell you how silenced the crowd was after getting ready for the second period there. But they bounce back and they respond, and they've been doing it in both games. They've been doing it, I guess throughout the whole season, really. They find ways to win rather than find ways to lose. And it's so refreshing. And to do it at this level against this team, it just says so much about the character of this team and where they're at as a group. And I can't say enough about their two performances. They weren't perfect. They weren't pretty at times, but it doesn't have to be that way, and I think they're learning that.
effectively, I thought the Maple Leafs beat the Florida Panthers at their own game, man. That forecheck was so tenacious. The Pacioretty goal to kick things off for the Maple Leafs, how could you not smile, especially for Jay Rosehill, watching that goal unfold? The double hit by McMahon and Domi goes to the point, and Pacioretty with a tip. And again, I'll not to toot my own horn, but I was a big backer, a big proponent in signing Max Pacioretty, and he has been money in the bank. Very limited, but the good news, 36, getting better and better with the games. You can't forget he missed about 2.5 months, didn't play live action for 2.5 months, but he's getting better and better and better, and that's excellent news for this team too.
Yeah, that line was buzzing in general, and that's what they need to do. That's why they got certain players, and Max Pacioretty is one of them. I remember when they were kind of thinking about, we'll get him on a PTO. I'm like, with his pedigree and his experience, and you literally costs you nothing and you're risking nothing, I thought it was a no-brainer simply for the fact that why not? There's no downside. You can see what he can give you, and just the fact that he was, a fairly premier goal scorer in this league, and he's got a lot of experience, and he's got leadership qualities as well. Why not give him a shot on a PTO? And I was very happy that they did, and he made an impact right away, got a contract, and just like any other season, it's been some ups and downs for him, but when the rubber hits the road, it's exactly what we wanted. His pedigree and his experience that paid off last night, and obviously a monster part of that win, and he's a big part of this team.
Oh, 1,000,000%. And I think just the one thing I really captured last night was the team effort, right? Everybody sort of doing their job, pulling their weight, the contributions up and down the lineup. Steven Lorentz, what a play. Pacioretty had a good game, another big-time goal for Willie Nylander. And how much have we talked about this the last couple of years? When you come in droves and wave after wave after wave, I think that's the great thing about this Leafs team right now, Rosie. Like, Berube's not afraid to play any of his lines. Like, he's just rolling them out there. And next thing you know, it's like the Panthers are always on the defensive because the Maple Leafs are coming in waves. Like, I love to see it.
Yeah, he seems to be rolling the lines. There's some pretty key D-zone face-offs where he keeps certain guys out there, and, you might raise your eyebrows a little bit. But, when he has the trust in everyone like that to say, we all know what to do and we're all capable of doing it, it's pretty contagious. It's a positivity that's spread throughout the bench, and to me, it's the intensity level that they're playing with. I mean, I have screamed at the TV before. I've ranted and raved on the bloody show, and been very disappointed with what their level of intensity has been like, specifically in the playoffs. Like, we've seen the playoff runs that any team goes on every single year, and it's always got this level of intensity where guys are just willing to do things that are above and beyond. And this group that has worn this jersey in the past years, who people have touted as being a really good team, they had zero of it, and they went nowhere. And it was so frustrating because you're watching and you're wondering, do you expect to win in the National Hockey League Stanley Cup playoffs without bringing the intensity? And again, found myself screaming at the TV, flabbergasted sometimes. And then you watch last night in Game 1 and you realize that, I don't know if it's Craig Berube or what it is, but to a man, they bring this level of intensity, and they just have this look on their face, this belief, and they're working and they're willing, and it just pays off. And they're literally beating the Florida Panthers, who I have called the best team in the world for the last week or two. They're beating them at their own game. They're doing what they've always done to be successful, and they've adopted that mentality, and they're winning at it so far.
How about Joseph Woll last night, too? I thought it was the timeliness of the saves. The big one that stands out for me is the one on Maki Samoskevich on the skate about midway through the third period. And that's just so monumental. Like, again, didn't have his best effort. I think it's fair to make an analysis like that. But the timeliness of the saves has been a key component to the success for this Maple Leafs team, not just here in the Stanley Cup playoffs, but through the entire season. And you're getting those saves. Even the goalmouth scramble in the third period, McCabe flushes it off the line. Like, they're just so many contributions. And I think we learned last year, even with Florida, you're a scary team when everybo's pulling their weight. Like, there just doesn't seem to be a weak link right now, Rosie.
No, there doesn't. And there was reason to flounder. Like, they've faced adversity. It's not like everything's gone just completely perfect and according to plan with this group. Like, the first goal on Joseph Woll, it was kind of like a 7-hole under the glove. Like, probably wanted that one. I think he got caught peeking around the right side, and it goes on his left. And, that's something that you could find yourself second-guessing yourself and losing your confidence, and then you start to scramble. It wasn't the case. They get buried on by Marchand to start the second. That would get you on your heels and starting to panic a little bit and doing things that are out of character. That wasn't the case. They're just doing things. They're finding ways to win instead of finding ways to lose. And again, it's different to watch this team the last couple of days. They have this confidence and this poise that I don't think we're used to seeing. And I think if they can continue on this way of playing the way they are committed together, I think you're going to see some real frustration out of the Florida Panthers, as they're not used to being in this position. They're used to leading the charge with those sort of things.
At the Leafs Nation 401, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. The word I kept drawing back to last night was playing with purpose. It's only happened one game in the Stanley Cup playoffs of the 8 so far the Maple Leafs have played where they look disinterested. For the rest, purpose. Like last night, they were just tenacious on the forecheck, making plays, finishing checks. Like, we have not seen that in the Stanley Cup playoffs before. In recent seasons, like, they've had really good teams, but they've lacked that intensity when it matters most, that killer instinct. And, dude, they had a response every time last night. They've had a response throughout these Stanley Cup playoffs. Like, you can't teach that. And maybe it's all the learning lessons we talk about all the time. Maybe it's Craig Berube. Maybe it's something in between. But it's been so excellent to see sort of the maturity growth in this team. Granted, again, as you put it, I mean, just up 2-0 in this series. You're halfway there. I think the best is yet to come from the Florida Panthers. There's some guys on that roster undoubtedly going to step up. But from the Maple Leafs perspective, it's been a home run so far in this series.
Yeah, and keeping things in perspective, I think, is the big thing right now. Like, we're thrilled right now. The morning after the homestand, the first 2 games, we didn't know where we were going to be at. I didn't know how this was going to look. I didn't know how they were going to compare. When we found that it was inevitable that they were going to play the Florida Panthers, it certainly wasn't my first choice. And after thinking this team's different throughout the season and seeing them finish off Ottawa, albeit a bit of a stutter step there, I think a lot of people, and myself included to a degree, didn't want to get too high and didn't want to, everyone plans the parade, but like start to really believe. I've always believed, but I just thought those Panthers was going to be this hurdle that maybe brought things to reality and maybe stopped this team in their tracks as they have done before. And it's just not the case. This team can absolutely hang with the Florida Panthers, and they're showing that they can do even more than that. Yes, it's important to keep things in perspective and realize that that team has the ability to tie this series up down in Florida, and you need to get yourself back down to earth, and I think Craig Berube will be doing exactly that.
Man, I felt like I was in the twilight zone last night. I don't know if you'd concur, but the 2 best players on the ice, Brad Marchand, that was a vintage outing for Brad Marchand. I thought he was spectacular for Florida. And to that point, Max Pacioretty was everywhere. We talked about him a bit earlier on, but he just made such a difference. I think it's, 5 points in the last 3 games for Max Pacioretty, but it was like turn back the clock night where you saw Pacioretty, former captain of the Montreal Canadiens, Marchand, former captain of the Boston Bruins, just going, tit for tat in that game.
Yeah, and I mean, looking back at the way they've handled their roster moves in the past, like after, when things got kind of tough in the Ottawa series or different points during deciding the lineup in this series, is he in there? I think that a different coach would have panicked and had to make changes for the sake of having some control over something. But Craig Berube just doesn't flounder, and he just sticks with it, says, no, this is it. And before, at any bit of adversity, it was changes out the wazoo. I mean, I remember last year we're talking about the lines the night before and then all day, and they come out and we analyze them. And how do you think this is going to go? 3 shifts into the game, he blows them up. Like how? And we've sat here going, how are they going to get consistency? How are you going to find, some chemistry with certain players when you can't keep things the same for more than a few minutes at a time? And then here's Craig Berube doing the complete opposite. I mean, that's him being sure of himself, understanding what needs to be done, and just not listening to the outside noise, sticking with his gut, and it's paying off here with Pacioretty. it's been absolutely the right move. And I can't say every coach in the world would have kept him in the whole time and gone to him and believed in him just because he's not the obvious choice maybe. But you believe in him, you stick with him, and it's paying dividends right now. He looks phenomenal.
Something that really stood out for me last night, I believe it was Luke Fox that put out the tweet, that 9 Leafs have at least 2 goals, 10 have at least 4 points so far in these playoffs. Like, when you're getting, again, contributions across the lineup from whomever it is, you're just going to be a difficult team to beat. Like, I thought that fourth line, I call them the third line now with Lawton, were dialed in, dude. They were all over the ice last night making plays. Calle Yarncroke, for as much heat as that guy took, remember, I'm like, just calm. Like, this guy is a playoff-type player, and I think he's really, really exceeded expectations. Steven Lorentz for a PTO pickup. It's kind of amazing. You look at the game last night, Max Pacioretty's a guy who was a late ad in training camp. Steven Lorentz, like, their DNA fingerprints all over that win last night.
Yeah, they are. And like watching it in person, just the way they're playing, it seems like a more of a togetherness. Like they just, I don't know, even when they were playing well, the Leafs of old, it looked like they were hoping all the time. It just looked like they're always doing these hope plays. And I hope that's enough. And I hope this is enough to get it done. And I hope that works. And each guy that comes out is just kind of individually trying something that he hopes works. And now they look like they know what to do. They're not hoping anything. They found the formula, and they're just doing it. And it comes from everybody, as you mentioned. Our depth pieces, people have wondered if they have enough depth. But if you have the depth that can step up when it matters, that's all that matters. And looking at Scott Lawton, the way he's got that little bit of FU in him, and I mean, it's just what they've been lacking in the past. They get trampled and trounced by teams that are more physical and intense than them. They're leading the charge with that stuff now. And again, I really thought this was going to be the biggest test in feeling out the Florida Panthers and trying to hang with them. And they've by far exceeded my expectations and probably everybody else's. And I think that they've really shown themselves that if they play a certain way, they'll have success against anyone. And I can't imagine there's anything but belief in that room right now.
Identity is a big word I would use describing this Maple Leafs team right now. It just seems like everybody knows their role. And I think to your point in that fourth line specifically, Scott Lawton was going back at it with Claude Giroux, his former teammate, in round one. And now doing it with Brad Marchand. Like, I just think there's more ways you can contribute than just getting points or scoring goals. And I think we're seeing that right now from the fourth line again.
Yeah, and it's that identity that you talk about. They've lacked that in the past, and they have one now, and they seem to have bought into it completely. I don't know if that's Berube or if just collectively they've wrapped their head around it, or if it's different leadership now. But you can see it on their faces. You can see it in their play. They have this identity in them, and everyone's bringing it, and they're pulling on the same rope, and you can see it out there.
Certainly, and I think from the Leafs' perspective offensively, and we're going to link up with your former coach here in mere seconds, the fact that they've gotten to the dirty areas with Sergei Bobrovsky, I think, is such a massive story to me. 9 goals and 50 shots in the series. If you recall a couple years ago, different teams, but Sergei Bobrovsky was a big reason why the Panthers went on that first run to begin with.
Yeah, and he's not letting in softies. He's playing well, too. He seems to be everywhere, and his athleticism, you can see it there. Like, on the Domi goal, like, he was there, but Domi just buries it, right? They're finding ways, and it's that relentlessness and that attitude that they haven't had in the past. They would change things up and abandon ship and kind of stick to the outside and do that hoping shit that they're kind of famous for in the past. And now they're head down, ass up, and they're just going. And no one's giving them anything. They're earning it all, which is everything to me.
The following interview is brought to you by Charm Diamond Centers. Get custom ring building delivered in less than 4 weeks with the Charm Masterpiece Program and unbeatable pricing policy. Charm Diamond Centers is proudly Canadian-owned and operated since 1972 with more than 85 locations across the country through Charm and their sister brands. For more information, go to charmdiamondcenters.com. Why don't you bring in your former head coach?
Everybody, we've had this guest before. Happy to have him, a hockey mind that I am fond of. Dallas Eakins, thanks for joining us.
Head down, ass up. I love you, Rosie.
That's what it's all about, man. Hey, you've been watching this series. What's your take on these Maple Leafs, man? I mean, I don't think things could have gone better in the first couple of games here for them.
Well, I was just listening to you guys, obviously coming in here, and teams grow, and there's growth along the way within the group with different coaches, with different influences. And I think with Chief coming in there, Craig Berube, I think he's taught them just a little bit more. But there is a bit of a different identity with this Leaf team to me than playoffs past. And you guys also hit on the guys know their roles, and it's great because like last game I started hearing Pacioretty more than I was hearing Matthews. And when you start working down your lineup and all the guys feel valued, they know what their role is, great things can happen.
How are they getting to Sergei Bobrovsky? Is it as simple as getting to the dirty areas finally?
Well, I think on those elite goalies like that, the more that you can, obviously be in their eyes, be around that net, create some chaos, or even just the illusion of chaos, just flash screening them, being in front of them like that, I think it puts great pressure on them. I think any goalie in the NHL, if they can see the puck, they will stop it. But again, it goes back to this little bit different identity for the Leafs where, in the past, man, they had a lot of skill and they could really kill you with some really skilled plays. And now you see like the Pacioretty goal last night. He comes from the corner. He goes right to the front of the net. He's in front. There's a tip. Bang. It's in the net. And so I think the identity of the Leafs, a little bit different identity of the Leafs, getting down around that net, a little bit dirtier, is certainly paying off for them.
Dally, I think about Paul Maurice this morning, obviously a really experienced, solid coach. They've had a lot of success in the last couple of years, no question. They find themselves having some adversity right now. What do you think his messaging is and game plan is after the first couple of games of this series?
Honestly, I think he'll just move on. Like it's incredible, these games. Like the margin of error in the games is very, very small. Mo's a detailed guy, but he's not going to get stuck in the mud of a result. Like the last game, it doesn't matter anymore. All that matters is the next game. The other thing that I think Mo has done an incredible job there is that that team's got some swagger, and I know they drive everybody a little bit crazy, but I love it. I love their swagger. I love that they've got these guys that will drive you absolutely crazy. And I just don't think their game will change much. I think they'll be a little bit more detailed defensively. Obviously, for both teams, staying on the box is really, really important, which is a really fine line because you want to finish your checks. You want to get in the other space. You want to be a pain in the ass, but you don't want to take a penalty. But I don't see any give in that Panthers team. They've been there before. They've done it before. They're going to come just like they always do.
We have seen some interesting calls so far in this series, is putting it nicely. The embellishment call on Rodriguez, the Domi call in the first period. You think we're making too much of the officiating? Does this happen every Stanley Cup playoffs, or are we onto something here?
Hey, everybody's looking for an edge, right? And especially the fans. I truly believe the hardest job in hockey isn't taking a puck off the wall, isn't coaching a team in a Canadian market, isn't being a goalie. The hardest job in hockey is being a referee. These guys are so fast. There's things happening there so quickly. It's hard to catch it all. And the thing that we have at home, like I was doing late yesterday afternoon here on the West Coast, is, let me rewind that 5 times and have a look at that. Well, the referees don't have that ability. And I do think the NHL has the best referees in the league. Every call is going to be disputed. Everyone's looking for the edge for their team. But that just comes along with the job. So that was my long answer to your question. My short answer is, yeah, we're all just looking too hard at these. Like, hey, it's all going to even out in the end, I always believe.
It usually does. Dally, as this team goes down to Florida and prepares to play the Panthers in their home barn, what kind of adjustments, if any, do you think Craig Berube is going to make, and what is his message to the team going down for Game 3?
Well, I'm certainly not going to assume that I know what Chief's going to say to them, but I do believe, I go back to, I think Chief has done an amazing job at instilling confidence in his players. I think that he's done a great job of making them all feel valued. Obviously, they're going to have confidence after winning 2 games. But I don't think anything starts in a series until a team loses at home. And I think that is going to be a huge part of this. And getting down there into that Florida rink and having a great start, playing with a lead is always better than trying to come from behind.
And Dallas, I think the great thing so far about this run for the Maple Leafs, I think we can call it that now through 8 games, is that every night it's like somebody different or additional to the core pieces. And I think it sort of fascinates me that Austin Matthews has been really, really good defensively, but has yet to get sort of to that next level offensively. How would you assess his game so far in this series?
One of growth. Like it's amazing. Like these guys are superstars, but they're still growing. They're understanding the value of, making little plays off the wall, maybe getting the puck deep and letting that forecheck go to work. If you don't give up a goal, then you're going to win the hockey game. So I just think it's real growth in the game, and that doesn't take away from their offense either. If you're playing better defensively, you have the puck more, and now you're going to have more offense. But I go back to it. I think Craig Berube has just done an amazing job right down this lineup of really instilling confidence. Like you look at their D last night, it's like they rolled 6. I think they all had around like 28 shifts, 27 shifts, something like that. You look at all the forwards, basically everybody's in double digits, ice time wise. Like everyone's feeling valued, and that's a real big part of a team having success.
And when you know what their past is like and the things that have haunted them in the playoffs, what's the first thing that comes to mind when you think about what's changed this year?
I think the confidence level and not getting, I love watching the interviews the next day after a loss, or I like watching the interviews the next day after a win, and the look on their faces is a little bit different. The way they're handling, I don't know, like the Bennett stuff the other night, handle it the next day. There's just this. They're less rattled. They're more confident, and I just feel like they're more focused. And again, that's growth. It takes time to get through this, and I certainly think the Toronto Maple Leafs are on the right track, although their foe is a great one.
And to your point, they're keeping their composure. Like I think previous renditions of the team, they'd probably try to overcompensate. You talked about the Sam Bennett play in Game 1. They probably try to overcompensate and show, hey, we're a different team, where it's now they just went out there, came in waves, addressed the situation accordingly, and didn't go out of their way to go to Sam Bennett, which you love to see. And again, that stems from the head coach too, right?
Yeah, and it comes from the players too. Like
Yeah.
Think about it in the past. If that would have been 2-3 years ago, it would have been Will Ferrell in the locker room. Keep our composure. We got to keep our composure, like going crazy. And now, like, not only does does Chief bring a massive level of composure, but then like I think like Willie Nylander style, right? Like you can't rattle that guy like that. He is just a dude all night long. And it's so much fun to watch a guy like that who can really, go about his business in a certain mindset, seem very loose, but an intense in the same breath. It's fun to watch.
Dilly, I want to ask you, as I think this might be a story that gets bigger as time goes on here, but Anthony Stolarz won the job as the starter in this market, looked quite good all season long, got that injury. If he becomes healthy all of a sudden, but Woll has kind of taken over for a couple of games, 2, maybe 3, is that going to be a difficult decision on who plays in the crease if you got those 2 guys healthy again?
No, I don't think so. Like, I think you always want to be fair. I think sometimes you don't want to disrupt what's going right. They've got a lot of experience there behind that bench and management with Tree. Like, those will be conversations they have. I think both guys are really capable. I love Stoley. I've coached him before. Man, when he left the game the other night and I saw him chucking stuff up there on the bench, like I was on the phone texting him right away. He's such a great kid, a battler, just like Benoit. That's one of my favorite guys that I've ever had. Such a great story. But Yeah, but as for the goalies, they get two capable guys. That's why you have two goalies.
Yeah.
Like, hey, you're gonna have to use them both along the way, but they're gonna be fine either way.
I like that you brought up Simone Benoit because I was actually at the game last night. So was Rosie for a bit. And Simone Benoit, like you talk about this time of year, Dally, and you guys have to elevate, plain and simple. And guys have to play above themselves. And I think Simone Benoit, from where this guy was a year and a half ago, was like a depth defenseman add to where he is now, where it's consistency. We're not even talking about Phil Myers. He has been so crucial, not really talked about, but to the success of this team so far in the postseason.
I am so proud of this kid.
Right.
Like, I am like,
Right.
man, I can get in tears talking about this kid. He was, he was on he got invited to a development camp tryout. Like, that's usually a favor to someone. And then he got invited to our AHL camp. And, like, he was on an AHL contract for years. And then he just all the way along has earned it. And now when you see the Leafs at the end of a game protecting a lead, and he's out there doing it, man, it's an amazing story. He that's the one where, hey, if you put your head down, maybe not ass up, Rosie, but you put your head down and work your butt off every day and be really diligent on getting better every day, just trying to win your day, like, that's what can happen. And, man, he is it is so much fun for me to see, because I remember when he just showed up as a tryout at a development camp years ago.
Lastly, Dallas, just to wrap, how you feeling? Obviously, they're halfway home to maybe getting to a conference final here, but do you feel this team is different? What's your series prediction for the rest of the runway here?
Oh, my God, predictions. I love them.
Let's go.
I couldn't tell you who's going to win. You know what I'm going to predict? I'm not going to predict who's going to win or lose, but I do think this series is going to have some meat on it. I think Florida will respond. They are the champs. They're not going to go gentle into that good night. But I think this one's going to be decided in Game 7.
I like it. Dallas, you're the best. Appreciate the sentiment the other day as well. And thank you so much once again for doing this.
Hey, you guys are doing a great job. Keep it up. And Nick, although I do love you, Rosie, you're one of my favorites. I would have loved to see what would have happened with Bennett nudging that Stolars if you were in the lineup the other day.
Well, I always mention you're one of my favorites. It still bothers me you didn't get the helm of this team back in the day when I think you were damn close. But we appreciate you taking the time. We'll talk to you again soon.
I appreciate it, guys. All the best.
You too. Dallas Eakins, man. What a stud. We love Dally. We love him.
Well, he's awesome, man.
Yeah.
I remember being in that room, and our team was they just rallied. We're maybe better than they should have been, and I just one of those coaches where you're not sure what they're gonna say, and he comes in and seems to say the right thing all the time, and guys would just look at each other and like, okay, like we didn't expect that maybe, or that was the thing that got me going, and the guys were willing to go through a wall for him. It was pretty awesome. Went into the Calder Cup finals and ran into a juggernaut team, but damn near won a championship with him. And again, it bothers me that they went with experience and Carlisle and put him at the helm.
Guy.
It wasn't the right choice, if you ask me. I really think things could have been a little bit different with Dally at the helm, but that's life.
So I mentioned last night, too, and again, thank you to Dallas Eakins for dropping by at the Leafs Nation 401. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. You were in the building, dude. We got to give the crowd credit. I know Max Domi after the game did as well, gave him props, but they came to play last night. I thought it was a really, really cool environment. I had to sort of pinch myself. I'm like, this is playoff hockey, man. Buzzing after every hit. But the team, I felt, gave them a reason to cheer last night, where it's like you're finishing checks and you're building off that buzz. I love that.
Yeah, it's a bit of both, no question. You got to give them something to get buzzed about. But, I mean, there's so many times where I'm watching on TV and I'm like, I can tell that place is buzzing, but it's just not translating through the speakers. And when you get there in person, there's this electricity about it. They're knowledgeable hockey fans. They know what they want to see, and when they see it, they let you know. And it was electric in there, man. Like, I got to bring our boss Amel into the box, and I could tell he really enjoyed himself. Like it's he's been to 1 million hockey games and been in that a lot, but to get in there and feel that environment for the playoffs when the team's doing something that could potentially be special, it's massive, and the fans responded accordingly, and they helped the guys continue to produce that type of hockey.
You know what also was a story last night was the power play finding a way to get a goal. Like how often we talked about in the Stanley Cup playoffs, just score one fucking power play goal.
Yeah.
Like we always look back to the 1 for 21 last year, and I love the fact that it was PP2 that scores that goal, but like 1 for 8 in the series. You think about the margin of error, how razor thin it is, and they win by 1 goal last night.
Yeah, Dally did say that these margins are razor thin, and they are. It could go either way, and I mean that's why you can't rest on your laurels or let off the gas at all, because then that margin will open wide up and you will get smoked. And you don't want to be learning lessons in the middle of a series. You got to have that experience and knowledge that you got to bring at every shift, every night. And the power play is no different. It doesn't really matter how you get it done. And we were talking about, like, how are they going to get a goal? Like, I don't know. It's just going to happen. They have to keep at it, be relentless, and obviously kind of have some more poise on it, understand that the margin for error isn't going to be the same as it is in the regular season. The pressure is going to be heavier every step of the way in the playoffs. You're going to get a better, more well-rounded team and better penalty kills and everything all the way down the depth. It's just something that you have to adhere to, and I think they responded well in Game 2. They found a way to get it. Again, it wasn't one of the big boys or the first unit, but I think just that levee cracking a little bit opens the doors for everyone else to have success on that peeper.
Want to get in the action for Stanley Cup playoffs at Bet365? They got you from game props, player props, totals, and the money line. You can even bet on futures like series winners, conference champions, the Stanley Cup champions, and much, much more. Whatever your bet is, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Download the app and get in the game. An official partner of the Stanley Cup playoffs, must be 19 or older. Ontario only. Please play responsibly. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, visit ConnexOntario.ca. Now, I was telling you behind the scenes, I had the under on Joseph Woll, the saves prop. So the Panthers had 29 shots on goal with 3.5 minutes remaining, and the Leafs were scrambling to try to get the puck out, and they didn't get one shot on goal in the last 3.5, and I hit it. I could not believe it. The number was set at 26.5. He finished with 26 saves, so we cashed on that. Cashed on the Nylander ATG. Almost got the Bob McMahon goal. At some point, mark my words, Bob McMahon's going to score a big goal in this series. Now, what a 19-game goalless drought. But what are you looking at tonight in round 2?
Yeah, bet-wise?
Yeah.
I mean, the Oilers game tonight, that's going to be interesting. Again, just a little parlay with any type of points mixing with Draisaitl and McDavid obviously is something. They're fun to watch. I mean, I think that, you know, their struggles and their ups and downs in the past 15 years has been much like the Maple Leafs with, you know, Jekyll and Hyde being able to play unbelievably good hockey and then being able to play some unbelievably bad hockey. But that series is a roller coaster of fun. So I'll probably be tuning into that one, and we'll see what happens for the next show when we get some more Maple Leafs bets going as we zero in on Game 3.
I expect a response tonight from Vegas. I think Vegas takes Game 2 here against the Edmonton Oilers. I think they find a way to compromise, if you will, Cal Pickard. And Vegas is a response team. I think you talk about coaching adjustments. We'll see that from Vegas tonight. But today is a travel day. Really appreciate you guys for sticking with us. I know the early start time today. Rosie headed back home. Me and producer Vic headed down to Florida. That's
I know.
Pretty good. We're going to have the Jay Rosehill 10 going on.
Haha, your boys are busy.
Yeah.
It's exciting. Yeah, I can't wait to see you guys live on location. Tune in and jump on with you guys and see what they got. We need more of the same down in Florida. Nothing changes just because you're in a different venue. The Leafs got to bring the same type of attitude to this Game 3.
Yeah, like the killer instincts. So Vic and I will be at Amarant Bank Arena starting tomorrow. Same showtime, 11 a.m. Eastern time. By the way, looking to link up with Brandon Montour. I think tomorrow will be an option to actually get him on. He was in transit down at the World Championship. How about that? Crosby and McKinnon at the World Championship for Canada. What a setting for Brandon Montour to wear the red and white there.
Yeah, a slight bump for that team. Two of the best on the entire planet and in history, really. So looking forward to that. And if Montour can jump on, it'd be fun to pick his brain about that experience, as well as playing on those Florida Panthers when they, in fact, won the Stanley Cup last year.
All right, bud. Safe travels home. Again, thank you to Greta Bar for hosting us throughout the week. And it was kind of fun to do a show in person with you. I think we miss that sometimes. You know, a lot of the people in the company get to see each other on a daily basis, but it's been fun, bud.
It has. These live shows have been awesome. Greta's been awesome. Meeting the people and some people from the chat has been awesome. So I think we're going to do it again in round 3 if they do in fact pull this off against the Panthers. So more reasons to cheer.
Now we go, baby. Thank you to producer Vic, live here on location. Greta, once again, for the hospitality at the Leafs Nation 401. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Leafs Want to Take wherever you find your podcast. Make sure to leave us a 5-star review. Don't forget as well to check out the leafsnation.com. For Jay Rosehill, I'm Nick Alberga. Thank you so much. We'll talk tomorrow from Florida. Take care. Make sure to check out more of our content right here on the Leafs Nation YouTube page. We got long-form interviews, we got clips, we got epic rants by Jay Rosehill. We simply have it all. And don't forget, you can find out much more at theleafsnation.com. Thanks so much for watching.